our next speaker is going to talk about taking large data chunks from Zabbix and then pushing them into some sort of a analytical engine and processing that data and analyzing it further for our needs. Quite a useful use case. So let's welcome the head of monitoring and automation at Secadm from Germany, Christian Anton, managing complexity in Zabbix installations with Splunk.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me here at Zabbix Summit 2020. My name is Christian Anton from Secadm. We are a service provider located in the south of Germany. We support customers of all sizes to manage their IT infrastructures and have a strong background in monitoring and automation, also in network infrastructure in general, security, software development, and so on. We are a Zabbix partner and also a Zabbix training partner. In this talk, I will be speaking about managing complexity in Zabbix installations with Splunk. It's kind of a story to show what we do to help our customers to get even better results from there. I hope it's interesting for you. Let's go. So what complexity are we actually speaking about here? It's the complexity that the day-by-day operation of Zabbix comes with. When Zabbix becomes a bit larger, you will of course have a lot of hosts, templates, items, and all those configuration elements inside your Zabbix. But at a certain point, you will experience also several unsupported items, meaning items that are by any reason not able to fetch their information. For example, a wrong password or a wrong path in an external check or many possible reasons. And it is often hard to get a hold on how many of those do you have in which of the different error states that exist, and therefore it's also difficult to really to fix them. And network issues might be another challenge that you might have. I'm not talking about those hosts just going down and creating an alert when they go down. I'm more speaking about those subtle errors that you see only in the logs, things going up and down, losing their connectivity, but getting back in time before issuing an alert, and stuff like that that you might want to have a look at. Queue entries is a very often seen problem. In larger Zabbix installations, you might have 10,000 or even more items in this Zabbix queue. And Zabbix Queue actually tells you that you have items not receiving their data in time and lagging in time. It clearly says that something is really wrong here, but it doesn't tell you a word about what is actually wrong. And last but not least, Zabbix as a monitoring tool is there to actually generate problems and generate alert out of these problems. And often when you have too many problems, it causes an effect that we call alert fatigue, meaning that people start ignoring the monitoring because just having too many alerts. And therefore, we receive a lot of questions at our customers when we try to help them to get their Zabbix installations in a better state. One of the major one is, of course, asking for where do all these problems come from? What are the top alert producers, so to say? How are these spread over our host groups, business units, or whatever? Another popular question is, we did this change last week. How did that impact our monitoring? It could have been a change in the monitoring itself. It could have been a network change, whatever, taking into account the history here. Then we are often asked to help customers to fix these unsupported items. Imagine how hard that job can be if you have like 10,000 of those, where to start. And sometimes we even have very specific problems in the Zabbix environments, often caused by maybe a known bug in an old version of an agent that behaves strange with a certain version of Zabbix server or something like that. So we often want to know, okay, this specific problem that I have with these symptoms, how many of these do I really have having exactly this problem, and what would be the effect if I could solve this. And last but not least, of course, the queue items. Where the hell do they come from? Which are those items, and why do I have them in the queue? Is it my database being too slow? Is it something else? You have to find out. So these are questions that are often very difficult to answer with the possibilities that Zabbix itself gives us. And the reason is that Zabbix is, yes, it's a brilliant monitoring tool. It has great ways to organize our monitored elements or CIs with templates, with hierarchical inheritance of templates, with macros, and a lot of things. This makes Zabbix very clear and very predictable in how it behaves and how it works. Of course, if you understand how it actually works. It even gives us great visualization capabilities, the dashboards and the filters and all these things. But what Zabbix is clearly not, it is not an analytics utility. Meaning that it doesn't have a flexible query language to just gather the information out of that silo that I'm interested in that specific moment in the format I just want it in that specific moment. It also doesn't have a on-demand statistical functions that allow me to get a hold on how much percentage do I have of this kind of problem over the all average of what I have, just to speak generally. Also, of course, Zabbix doesn't have this possibility to enrich and correlate data with any external data sources. And just to make this clear, it's not that I'm expecting this capabilities from a monitoring tool. I personally prefer the Zabbix guys to build that brilliant monitoring tool that they are building and let other tools do that extra work on top. And as Secadm is not only a Zabbix partner, but also a Splunk partner, we came to the conclusion that it's obvious to use Splunk for this work. And actually, Splunk is offering us many possibilities to onboard data in the platform that is much far beyond the simple indexing of log data, which you have in almost all kind of big data tools. Indexing data is one thing, but the really interesting part here is the lookups, the key value store, the possibilities of implementing scripts and programs inside the Splunk platform that can fetch data in real time, on demand, out of other systems, and even do this without having to store and to index any kind of information inside Splunk. So the most important data we actually use to make a lot of analysis of Zabbix data is the data that I call the entity inventory. It's basically the inventory of all those elements inside Zabbix that does not change that does not change often, such as hosts, items, proxies, templates, and they are often the base for almost anything else that I want to get out of there. So as this data is not changing constantly, what we do here is we fetch this data from Splunk with a so-called scheduled search and a custom search command directly from the API endpoints that Zabbix offers. And we just fetch all this information, for example, all hosts with all metadata, host groups, templates, and so on. And we store this information inside Splunk's KV store, which is in fact a MongoDB. That allows us to issue searches on those very quickly in milliseconds without having to fetch anything at this point in time, without having to index any data, and get to our results very, very quickly. And only with this information, we already get to the point to do some useful things with the platform. So in this case, just as a very little example, I just get a list of all the hosts in my Zabbix installation. Well, this is a very simple example, and you may notice it's very few hosts also there. You will notice the same here when I get the list of the items. It's a test system, but it's just an example to show a little bit how it feels and how it works. So I got a list of all my items, and I'm actually doing a stats now, a statistics on status and state to drill down later on the not supported items. Remember, I had them on the first slide. So I'm drilling down to the not supported items. It's just 16 in this example, but imagine having like 10,000 of them. So now I go further and do first of all a correlation, because I do have the host IDs here, but host IDs are not human readable. So I need the host names, which I do by looking up them in the same KV store, but the store that stores the hosts with their metadata. So now I have the host names here, which is there is host names repeating. So I did another statistics on to show me how many of those not supported items are there by host. Okay, this is an easy way to get an overview here. I even added a bit more information here, such as the host names, the actual host, the item names, the item types, and even the errors that would be shown if you hovered in the Zabbix interface. So with this, I'm ready to do a more advanced analysis, which I'm not going to show here because of timing issues, but imagine to categorize these problems into SNMP problems, shell problems like wrong paths or something like that, and to be able to categorize and to see which of them are happening, how often, and at what hosts, assigned to which templates, assigned to which host groups, and so on. And this even may be aggregated with or correlated with information from your CMDB or whatever. So yeah, this was a good start. But what is more fun than having data in a data analytics platform? Of course, having more data. So of course, we do also index the logs, the Zabbix server, the Zabbix proxy logs. We already categorize the events in there to see which are availability issues, which are item problems, which are pre-processing problems, housekeeper statistics, and so on. We have developed a module that is able to fetch information in real time from Zabbix out of whatever Splunk search that you do. So given any list of entities or elements, you can fetch the status information for these items, hosts, triggers, just in real time out of Zabbix. Very useful for any kind of dashboards where you want to see real-time information out of Zabbix. And another thing that we have developed is a possibility to gather the metrics. We are talking about history and trends data here directly from Zabbix in real time without the need to store these metrics data in any other place than the Zabbix database. And we can still use them for like graphing, for correlations, for calculations, for whatever you want. We also onboard the Zabbix problems into Splunk. We do this actually by using one of the new media types of type webhook. So you just see a little excerpt how this looks like. And we are working also on a correlation of the alert log together with these problems to get a hold of, well, I have these problems, but those of the problems are creating this amount of alerts, because it's not said that if you have a problem, you will have an alert. It depends on your configuration. And to get this bridge done, we are working on the onboarding of the alert log and the correlation of those two. We are onboarding the queue items just to solve one of those questions from the beginning. And we are right now working on onboarding also the alert logs. Alert logs are new to be available through the API since Zabbix 5.0. And yeah, we have started onboarding this because we do believe that having a powerful tool to visualize and analyze any aspect of configuration changes in a tool like Zabbix is absolutely important. Well, and with this, and having in mind the time that flies by, I just want to show a little some possibilities of what we can actually do with this information in such a tool. For example, the Zabbix Queue. Often the Zabbix Queue really causes big headaches at customers. So you go and see a Zabbix installation having 20,000, 50,000 items in Zabbix Queue waiting there for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or even longer time. And what you see here is an example dashboard showing almost the same view as we have in Zabbix itself, categorization by how long is it over time, basically, the item, and at what item type and at what proxy is it coming in. So what we have here, what we do not have in Zabbix itself, is the time. So we have the history here, and we can clearly see where we had spikes, where things have changed dramatically. For example, in bigger changes in the network, you suddenly had a huge slow network, and the queues went up dramatically. And interesting to see is whether they went back down or they stayed up. And this is something you often, it's very difficult to analyze this in Zabbix itself. And one more thing we have done here is a drill down possibility. So if you drill down into one of those boxes, you see the items themselves, but again, correlated with their actual status and the status of the host inside Zabbix. So you can clearly see, okay, this is an item that is on a host that is down, or this item is in the queue because it's not supported, so it doesn't get any data at all. So it's clear that it is here. And as those are cases that are often seen, we even have an ignore list here. So we can just ignore them from this view because we know that we have to fix this in another way. And we can focus on those that remain and even do statistics on those. For example, to drill down here and say, okay, I need a group by item type, and I can see, okay, of this example, most of my problems were item type SNMP. Okay, and from there I can go even further and analyze the problems and fix them. Same as for problems, Zabbix problems mentioned before already. So what I have here is a dashboard of the Zabbix problems over system categories. We can be quite flexible in what a system category can be. We are just showing operating system here. And what we can see is that over the last 24 hours, Windows is the winner here, causing most of the problems. And again, here we can do a drill down on this. Again, this is just examples and can be completely freely configurable as basically I want. In a drill down, I will see, okay, out of this a bunch of problems, it's quite a big portion being all the same problem. Which is interesting. And if I go even further, I will see out of this single problem that caused so many alerts or problems, there is just one host creating almost all of them. And this host is creating this problem like continuously. So if I just switched this one host off, I would have like a huge amount less problems in total. And this is the kind of information we often need. And well, if we take this any further, we of course could imagine of also using the Zabbix data to yeah, for more management visibility, such as correlating Zabbix metrics, Zabbix status, Zabbix problems, together with whatever application logs, other data sources, your CMDB, your services management, your ITSM, your ticketing system to create really meaningful dashboards for the management. But we were at the point where we talked about managing Zabbix problems or Zabbix complexity with Splunk. So I'm not going to focus more on this. Yeah, and with this, I am already at the end of my presentation. The last to answer is, of course, if you ask like, how can I get to use this stuff? Well, actually, the good news is that we are giving this for free under a open source license to our customers. We are currently not yet having this under the or on the Zabbix integrations page. We are on the process of doing this. It's actually mostly legal topics that still kind of prevent us from doing this. So for now, I can say if you are interested in speaking about this topic or even just getting that stuff, come contact me. This is my email. You can also get me on, on LinkedIn, on even Instagram, or here today in the sponsor room, where even either me or one of my colleagues will be waiting for you to chat with you. The sponsor room of Secadm is this green one down here. And with this, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you a lot. So time for some questions, and we do have a couple for you. I hope you are ready to answer them.
Yes, I'm ready.
Good. So let's begin. First off, a performance concern. So if we use this kind of integration that you presented, are there any performance issues that you know of caused by Splunk or maybe some misconfiguration or something like that?
Performance-wise, we are seeing that we can use this connector that we built for installations, or we have been using this for in installations with several 10,000s of monitored hosts. Therefore, several 100,000 up to millions of items, and have not seen any performance implications in a negative way.
So yeah, you have tested with quite large instances, and it's been working like a charm, performance-wise.
Yeah, we can say so.
All right. Then under the hood, so how does this connector work under the hood? Does it use the API, or does it use direct queries to the database?
That's a good question. What we do is to rely on the API as much as we can, actually. The only thing where we can also fetch data directly from the database for the metrics.
Sorry, I think we have some technical issues. Christian, I think, yeah, we cannot really hear you properly. So, yeah, let's continue. Sorry, could you... Oh, next up. Okay, sorry, Christian. We will have to skip the questions for now because, yeah, there are some technical issues with the network, I think. We'll try and figure out something with our guys. And, yeah. But thank you for participating. And if you are still interested, and most of you, of course, are, to having answers to your questions, just as Christian said, there is a sponsor booth for Secadm that you can always attend and ask your questions there, discuss how this works, and so on and so forth. So we have a backup plan here, so don't worry. Once again, thank you a lot, and let's continue. Next up, we will also be talking about integrations. We'll be talking about integrations with a different type of application. Specifically, we'll be talking about Zabbix and H5 network performance intelligence integration.